Dinner went wrong when my fiancé ran into my ex-sugar daddy. I spilled too many details while explaining the relationship I had with ex-sugar daddy, and now intimacy between us has disappeared. I am 28 and back in college I needed cash, and between loans and a little job I was drowning. A friend hooked me up with someone who knew of a guy who was a sugar daddy. He was 50 and was looking for his baby. I pretended to be his girlfriend at functions. We'd date and have time together every now and then. He would pay me with cash, never gifts. I could then pay my bills and stay in college. I was a sugar baby for this guy for 3 years, almost until graduation. He and his wife, 50, had an open marriage that they eventually closed, and sometimes our dates would include her boyfriend. He gave me a lot of money, great information, but we decided to end it. I wanted out of the situation. He and his wife wanted to close their marriage, so it just sort of ended. So I gave it up and moved on. My parents always had a problem with it, and I get it. They thought I was prostituting myself for money. Sure, but they wouldn't help with the cent for school. My father's fake old-world attitude meant I had to sink or swim. Out of 4 girls, I'm the only one that graduated university because I am the only one who could get the resources together. He wouldn't help with loan applications, nothing, so I had to take drastic measures. At 24, I met my current SO, my fiancé Thomas. Thomas was 23, a struggling salesman at the time, and all sorts of a mess. His shoes smelled. He would routinely destroy sweaters by putting them in the dryer. He was constantly broke. I certainly wasn't dating him for money. But things progressed, and he eventually went back to school, earned a graduate degree, and landed an amazing job. He does really well for himself, makes great money, and can afford to buy new shoes. When we got together, he was broke. I paid on many of our dates, I bought him clothes, and when we first moved in together, I paid rent. We got engaged this past year. He knows about the sugar daddy and has asked precious few questions about it. I can fully respect that and don't particularly want to talk about it. Not that long ago, Thomas and I went to dinner, and during our meal, my former sugar daddy stopped by the table to say hello. He was with his wife, who also said hello. We spoke for a second. My former sugar daddy told my fiancé that I was a great person and left, but he paid our bill, unbeknownst to us. This precipitated a stupid conversation about what this former relationship involved, how it came to be, things we did, and how it ended. All in all, I would rather have not talked about it, but I did, and I regret saying too much. I answered a few bedrooms-related questions and offered some details. Both things were a mistake. It was awkward, but we're not fighting about it. I told my sister, my closest confidant, about what transpired, and she lamented that prostitution can haunt you. I've never considered what I've done to be prostitution, but apparently she and my whole family think what I did is prostitution. That stung, so I went back to my fiancé and dredged it back up and got him to discuss it again. Another massive mistake. He, too, feels it's quasi-prostitution and something he would never tell anyone outside of our relationship. I wish I had never said anything or dredged it up, because since then, our relationship has been flat. Before the discussions, we had an active sex life. We joked all the time and were really open with one another. Now, he's more reserved. We haven't had sex in more than 2 weeks, and whereas before he was a grabby/touchy fellow, now he's very hands-off. If I offer sex, he'll make an excuse, a cold, not feeling well, etc. I've tried to reassure him about our sex life, but to no avail. How can I undo this so that we can have our old active sex life without the baggage of past people/prostitution? Best comments. He might be processing it. He saw the guy who had sex with his girlfriend and worse, paid for it, and keeps getting flashbacks to you having sex with him. You answering bedroom-related questions doesn't exactly help. Let's not forget, sugar daddy also paid for his meal as well. That's not pouring salt on a wound. That's pouring napalm. I don't think SD meant any offense, and is generally a generous person. I see it could be construed as a power play, but I didn't get that sense. There's zero way the guy didn't know the awkward position he'd be putting you in. He has to realize that people exist outside the unique bubble him and his wife lived in, and the majority of people don't want some old F who used to pay their young partner for sex to come over during dinner and pay for their meal. When someone talks to you like that, it's inevitable you'll be asked, "So, where do you know them from?" You did what you did when you were younger. You accepted the gift, but you have to be aware of how everyone else is going to feel about this sort of thing. There's zero way the guy didn't know the awkward position he'd be putting you in. Maybe, but SD was often clueless. I honestly think he just didn't think about it, which would be his MO. But you have to be aware of how everyone else is going to feel about this sort of thing. I do now. I'm a bit terrified. Even if he were just an ex-boyfriend, it would be awkward for him to pick up the tab on your date. Whether or not he intended it as, "I used to take your girlfriend out and pay for her dinner, and now I'm paying for you to go on this date with her." I guarantee that's exactly how it came across. If you're at all defending him to your boyfriend that he didn't mean it that way, or wouldn't have thought it would bother him, like you are here, instead of acknowledging your boyfriend's discomfort with the situation, then you're making it worse. No, I've been just trying to reassure him that I'm very happy here and now, and my ex-sugar daddy is an ex, and I'm not interested in going back to that. But he is not an ex. He was a client who paid you for the girlfriend experience. You have to accept that most people consider being someone's sugar baby, aka having sex and going on dates for cash payment, prostitution. And now he's able to put a face to the whole thing. Before it was just a piece of your personal history that I bet he put in the corner of his mind. Now it feels so much more real and tangible to him. Hadn't thought about the fact that he now can put a face to it.